Up to you, man. I got no limit. Can do
I got
about an hour.
no limit.
Yeah.
I'm chilling here, so I'm good.
Awesome. Oh, and we're live. Yeah. What's up, Brandon? What's up, everyone? It's Thursday night. It's another cold night here in New England. Welcome to another episode of Buttercast. I'm your host tonight, Anderson. My brother Jay, he got held up at work. He's a busy man. You know how it is, but he'll be here next time. So he's really sorry he couldn't make it tonight. How's everything with you, Brandon?
Everything's going well. It's just as cold in New York here, so glad to be inside in the heat. So it's freezing out, but glad I could make it tonight and excited.
Yeah. Do you guys have any snow right now?
No, we don't. We might be getting some soon though. I live on Long Island, so.
Yeah. Do you usually not get a lot of snow there? Because I live on the Cape.
We still do. We still do.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and usually when it snows, like the snow just doesn't stick. Like it snowed for like 3 days this week, and it's gone.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy. But yeah, Brandon Miller, also known as Carnivore B Mills. Yeah, so we'll be diving into your story tonight, just getting to know you. I know you've had some success with carnivore, and now you're helping others with carnivore too. Carnivore and animal-based and like primal diets, which is awesome. Yes. I think as long as you're eating meat, you're doing the right thing. So it's always good to have someone else doing the same work.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
I've at the moment I'm strict carnivore myself, but I've had periods where I've experimented with fruit and where I recommend fruit and honey and some sort of ancestrally consistent diet to people. I don't preach that every single person in the world should be carnivore, but I do think that a lot of them, it's not a bad idea. I feel really, really good this way. I felt good with fruit, but not as good. We can go into that too another time in the podcast.
Definitely have to get into it.
But definitely have experience with carnivore, ancestral, primal, all those sorts of diets, and just feeling really good and helping people feel good.
Yeah, it's life-changing, man. I love it. So why don't you tell us a bit about how did you hear about carnivore in the first place? It's not a very popular diet, or I guess you've been carnivore for a while now, so back in the day, not so popular.
So yeah, I've been keto for a long time, for a few years now, and I didn't get into carnivore till the last, year and a half. And when I heard about it, it was definitely Paul Saladino that was like, he flipped the switch for me about plants. I experimented with fruit. It just never seemed to keep me as lean when I had a lot of fruit. So I was doing keto at the time with a lot of meat, a lot of vegetables, of course, feeling off fats, feeling really good. But I still had really bad IBS, and I still had really bad dandruff and a lot of eczema. And I didn't understand that the plants could be the cause of the problem until I saw some of his content. Now, we can argue about his content too, because I think he eats way too much fruit. But he was the guy that kind of led me to remove the plants. And then when I removed the plants, I was like, I'm just eating meat. Is that okay? And I Google it and I see all these guys come up and I'm like, oh, maybe it is okay. You see Sean Baker, you see Joe Rogan, Michaela Peterson, all the big names. And, I got really involved in the community recently because of how good I felt during, the last year and a half I've done this really strictly. So, yeah, I've lost a lot of weight in the past, and I've never felt better on this way of eating.
Yeah. So did you catch Paul Saladino on like the Joe Rogan show or like on Instagram?
I saw his first thing, I guess, was on Instagram, and then I watched a lot of the Joe Rogan show. I watched Sean Baker's episode. That's how I got into him. And then just led to that next, to be honest.
Because I remember when I watched Sean Baker, so my brother started a short while after the Sean Baker episode. I watched it. I was like, oh, they're crazy. Like these guys, they're going to end up dead. But then I watched the Paul Saladino episode where he really like dived into the whole like plant thing.
Yeah.
And it just made a lot of sense, right? Plants have these defense chemicals. They can't run away. And I was like, I was also keto back then when that came out. I was keto for like a long time, but I'd have like these huge bowls of just like spinach or kale.
Yeah.
Like I look back and I just feel disgusting. And I remember like I feel irritated in my gut.
I did the same thing.
I mean, the same thing.
Even before keto, I was always into bodybuilding style diets, so high protein. But the bodybuilding style diet I was doing was like not gut friendly at all. It was like the most inflammatory, not gut friendly diet, filled with these high volume foods like these big salads with chicken and lean meats, because you don't know, that's the mainstream advice. That's what's good for you. So when you Google it and you hear nutritionists talk about it, you just believe. So from a way of like eating in big volume portion meals, this is definitely a more satiating and satisfying feeling, just eating red meat all day. Never felt better.
So how was your initial experience when you made the switch to carnivore? Like, did you feel a relief and a benefit like right away, or?
So here's the problem. I came to carnivore and I was at a period where I was counting calories for the last, 2 or 3 years straight. Every single day, very committed. And when I started carnivore, I was even counting on keto. And when I started carnivore, I was told that you don't have to count calories. It's not necessary, which it's not in the long run. But what I didn't know is you could just pile all the dairy and butter on everything, because I would just see people with steaks topped with butter and people eating sticks of butter. So I'm like, all right, might as well just eat a ton of butter until I'm full. And I did it. And coming from a period of caloric restriction, I gained 20 pounds in the first few weeks of carnivore with all the excess dairy. Then I realized that no matter what kind of diet you're on, if you are eating excess energy, like from fats that I wasn't using, I was storing them. So that's exactly what happened. It's exactly what led to the weight gain. And as soon as I just lowered the dairy, lowered the added fat a little, of course, I never went low fat. But now I do a higher protein version of the carnivore diet with little to no dairy. And I feel the best off of that by far. So it took me a few months to play around with it and figure it out. It's not a magical diet. However, it can be really powerful once you figure out how it works for you.
Yeah. I think it takes some experimenting with different levers you can pull. And what's great about carnivore, it just gives you it just reduces the amount of variables you can control, right? And so, of course you can go crazy with the butter. I don't know if I'd advise people eating like a whole stick of butter a day. Like I've seen some people doing that, not for weight loss, but I'm sure it's tasty. Well, actually, I've tried it. I tried it for like 3 days.
And listen, there are some people that can get away with a whole stick of butter a day, but a lot of people don't have that activity level to actually burn off all of that fat and to use all of that fat. So you can't really pile on dairy like that unless your goal is to put on weight and to gain weight. Then that's a good idea. But if you come into this way of eating, trying to stay lean, higher protein and lower dairy should be your first two options.
Yeah. So out of curiosity, so most of your weight loss, I assume, happened when you were like counting calories and on keto?
So most of my weight loss happened when I was in 2020 and I was doing one meal a day and all I cared about was calories in, calories out. So that's how my weight loss happened. It was through process of calories in, calories out. What I didn't understand was anything about gut health. What I didn't understand is that when you lose weight, you don't have to feel horrible or starving. And also my hormones drastically declined as I lost that weight. So I lost the weight 100 pounds in a period of 8 months, which is not a lot of time to lose that much weight. And I ran about 9 or 10 miles every single day that entire summer, which is a lot of running, a lot of stress on the body, and I lost the weight, but I lost all of my muscle mass, all of it. I was eating one meal a day, whatever I wanted, and I just basically starved myself. And people don't understand that if you calorically restrict for a long period of time, you're basically starving yourself. And when you get to a diet filled with fats and a diet filled with satiety, you don't have to necessarily count anything anymore, as you will stay lean if you just eat a species appropriate diet. I had no idea at the time, but that's how I lost the weight. But after I lost the weight, I never felt worse in my whole life. I felt way better, 100 pounds heavier, without strict one meal a day, eating whatever I wanted, than with not restricting myself, definitely. So that's how I found out about keto after I lost the weight. I realized that if I just lowered my carbs and I had my fats, I would feel better. I would sleep better. I wouldn't have the cravings anymore. And it was great. I was doing meat and greens for a long time until we go back and I went carnivore. And since then, I mean, everything has just drastically improved in my life.
Yeah. And do you remember, just out of curiosity, like what your intake was back then?
Yeah, I can tell you exactly what my intake was because I was tracking it to the freaking dime. So I have to say my intake I did a very, very, very low caloric intake for a long period of time. I got really lean. I got to like 8 or 9% body fat. And while I was doing this, I was eating probably 1,800 calories a day for like
Oh man.
over a year and a half, like straight, no cheating, nothing. I was very, very committed. And
Yeah.
now, so if I ate like 2,300 calories, I would start gaining weight. Now I eat around 3,000 to 4,000 calories a day of meat, eggs, and fats and fish. And
Nice.
I can eat a ton more, almost double what I was eating before, and not gain a single pound. The only time the weight gain starts to come up is if I add too much dairy. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, 1,800. That's brutal, man.
It is brutal. Yeah. It's so unnecessary. It's so unnecessary.
Yeah.
You can go into calories, but the food quality is what affects your body, not
Absolutely.
calories. So no one's getting fat off of eggs. You can try all you want, but it's just not going to happen. Like you can. I've tried. Trust me, I've really tried. Like I've eaten until past satiety with eggs. I still can't put on weight, and I'm not a hard gainer. If I eat 2,000 calories of sugar, I'm gaining a lot of weight. If I eat 4,000 calories of meat and eggs, I will maintain no problem. So it just shows that the calories in really does affect your expenditure, the calories out. And it's too much of a hassle to track every single day instead of just eating the right foods and you feeling better.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. It's the conventional like bro diet culture will just have you like restrict severely. It just it's all about just getting like super shredded. But dude, like it's not healthy. You don't feel good, and after that you're like you're hungry, man. Like you're starving.
Exactly. You can ask a bodybuilder how they feel after a few weeks on stage. Like they feel like garbage.
Oh, yeah.
What happens to them afterwards? They gain back 20, 30 pounds. It's not natural. It's not normal.
Dude, and they get it quick in like a week.
Yeah, so lean muscle and weight loss and fat loss, it comes with satiety over time, eating the right foods, and that's what I've learned. Is that you need to eat the right foods that fill you up in your brain and not in your stomach. And the only way to do that is to eat nutrient-dense foods. So meat, eggs, fish, fats. Base your diet around that. You will feel unbelievable. And again, you don't have to go pure carnivore, but if you're somebody who was addicted to sugar like me, because you can't get that big without having an addiction to sugar, you might want to try carnivore because it really frees you up, especially people that were in binge eating in the past like I was. It's a really freeing feeling to eat until you're actually full. And people that did bodybuilding in the past that restricted themselves. I know a lot of women that restrict themselves every day and they have these giant salads with chicken like I used to do, and that's all they eat for the day. They're eating like 1,200 calories. Like it's just not the way. And then I see women go on Instagram and post that they're eating 2,500 calories a day. And I'm looking what they're eating and they're keto carnivore. I'm like, oh, well, that makes sense. Their body's actually expending energy. So the food you intake totally change the calories out. So I could argue all day about that, but at the end of the day, it doesn't mean anything when you can't do it for a long time. And sustainability is definitely key.
Yeah, sustainability. The best diet is the diet you can sustain, right? And definitely like prioritizing satiety, it's a game changer. So many people are just not eating enough protein. Man, I have friends, I know people who probably don't even eat like 50 grams of protein a day. And they're just like all over the place. Like, they're crashing after their lunch. They're just like low energy, very irritable, like personalities too.
Yeah.
And you can't just tell them like, hey, maybe you should eat a steak, and they'll get triggered. Crazy.
No, literally, the food you're eating actually has an impact on not necessarily your personality, but how outgoing someone is. I mean, if you're eating lazy food, you're going to feel lazy. You're not going to want to move. And there's no coincidence that bigger people often feel lazier than people who are eating healthier and more fit and active. The type of food that you eat drives you to exercise. When you eat good quality food, you actually feel a want to go outside and exercise. When you eat bad quality food, you want to lay in bed all day. So there's definitely science behind that. There's some serious science behind that.
Yeah, absolutely. And what about your training? I'm curious about your training because you said you were running like 8-9 miles per day, which is, that's more miles than I ever want to run in like a whole year.
But, I mean, I was like freaking David Goggins, man. I don't even know what I had in me at that point. I wasn't going to sustain it, obviously. The other thing that comes with running is cortisol, and I was absolutely stressed out of my mind with, eating one meal a day and running like that, starving every night. Not the way. So what I realized was maybe I should take up strength training because I lost all my muscle. And with strength training comes a protein intake that you should hit. And this varies person by person. There's an old saying that's 1 gram per pound of body weight. And it really does depend on the type of quality of the protein. And that's really something I noticed is when I was eating almonds and spinach and tracking those, I was not getting the same physique as when I started eating eggs and red meat all the time. So something immediately I did was I started strength training. I started strength training with intensity. And I started eating real animal protein and stopped counting protein from beans and chips and all this garbage that wasn't complete protein. You're not building a body with beans and lentils. I'm sorry, you're just not.
Nah, bro. Need bucket loads of beans. But yeah, no, that's such a good point, and so many people miss that mark. Sure, like a protein bar might have like 20 grams of protein or like 20 to 25 grams of protein and be like 200 calories, maybe 250, something like that. And I think it's a good comparison. Would you rather eat a protein bar or that's almost like 3 eggs, right? If you want to do like calorie equate, for example, 3 eggs are going to win every single time over a protein bar. A protein bar is just, it's a snack.
Then let's look at the type of protein they use. Like, what if I see people take pea protein because everyone is nowadays, so they take pea protein, and you compare the amino acids and peas to an egg, like you're not even in the same universe. So different amino acid profiles matter. The easiest way: red meat, eggs, seafood. I'm gonna keep saying it. That's the way. I do pork and chicken and turkey maybe 1 to 2 times a week, but red meat every day, organs every day, eggs every day, and seafood every few days as well.
Yeah, nice. Sounds like you have a good balance of like a diverse set of animals you eat on a weekly basis.
Definitely.
Which in my opinion, like I think that's better, or like that's more optimal. Like doing exclusively red meat. I'm sure it's fine, but like
it's fine. But there are certain things in seafood, like certain electrolytes. There's certain minerals that just make up a bigger portion of stuff like pork and seafood. There come issues with eating too much of those animals over time, like heavy metals and mercury. And then you could talk about pork, and it's very, very high in omega-6 and most likely not fed the right diet. So I totally understand why people do beef every day, but I prioritize beef. And I have those other ones 1 to 2 times a week to still get enough micronutrients to feel really good. I've done it. I've done it with all beef and organs and salt and water, and that's it. And you feel good. That diversity really does help. It really does make a difference. And for me, it's something I can really do in the long run. And I don't think I can eat beef my whole life in the long run without any other meat involved. So the lion diet's cool. It might be great to reverse an autoimmune, but I didn't even have to go that far as mine cleared up on a regular carnivore diet.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I'm fully there with you, man. Like, I can sustain it, some poultry, some pork here and there. Because, if you do, specifically, if you only do like muscle meat, red meat, you'll be deficient in like B1 thiamine or B9 folate. But eggs are a great source of folate too. Liver, of course. B1 pork's your go-to source there. So just making sure you cover all your bases, I think it's important. And I sometimes I get concerned, like just doing lion for too long might lead to some deficiencies, even though
absolutely will. I think that when people do the lion diet, if they forget about organs, you're screwed. Your organs are included, and they're the most nutrient dense. They're way more filled with nutrients than muscle meat, and people don't understand this. But it's not the same. If for the 99% of the cow that's muscle meat and fat, you have a 1% of a liver that's very valuable and very dense. So a little bit goes a long way. You don't have to do a whole liver every single day. You don't have to do that. A tiny pinch like this of liver a day is all you need, and filled with nutrients. So if you're somebody that is doing the lion diet, that's most important to get organs. If you do a carnivore diet that has variety, that has fish and has eggs and all these other animals, you can get away with no organs. But in my opinion, I felt best when I have organs, no matter what kind of carnivore diet I'm trying.
Yeah. So, do you have what kind of organs do you have on a daily basis? Like liver?
So I always do frozen liver, heart, spleen, and pancreas.
All of them?
all
Wow.
all of them little amounts every day. What I do is I made a video on my Instagram about it, but I have this little ice cube tray, and it's like half the size of a real ice cube. I got it off Amazon, so they're like this big. So you put them in this little container, you freeze them, and then each morning I pop them frozen like little multivitamins. And that's how I do all the organs. I think it's the easiest way because I've done it raw. It's good. I just I want it. What's it called? I want them every day, and I don't want a supplement form. I want the actual, nutrient filled form in its presence. So that's how I do it. I found the most success that way. The supplements aren't bad if you have nothing else, but like anything else, the whole food version is going to be better.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
I've done testicle too, and I've done brain as well, and they're crazy. Brain tastes like beef. It doesn't taste gamey.
It doesn't taste what?
It doesn't taste like gamey or anything like that. It has a weird taste. Same thing with heart. Heart's probably my favorite. It literally tastes like muscle meat. You can't notice the difference.
Yeah, heart's like steak.
Literally.
Brain. Yeah, I've tried testicle too, and brain. I think brain is my favorite organ, honestly. Like I made some like scrambled eggs with it. It was like so fatty. The texture was just like so rich. It literally like melts in your mouth. Like
No,
it's just like
it's good. It's very fatty. It's filled with cholesterol. It's filled with nutrients. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
So are our brains.
Super anabolic. Yeah. And it's funny because one of the like common talking points of like carnivores are like how humans evolved eating meat, or they evolved like like being able to access like this nutrient density and calorically dense fat allowed our brains to grow. But like how some of the first foods we consumed was like the bone marrow and like and brain actually, right?
For sure.
These inside bone nutrients. So I just wonder, like, finding brain is so weird today. It's so rare today. Like it's like I think it's a controlled substance by the government.
It is.
And they're like
very hard to get your hands on that. And I'm even more disappointed in something like raw milk.
Oh man,
so hard to find. It's unfortunate that I have to go out of my way to find something in its raw form. But that's unfortunately our government today.
Yeah. Do you have access to raw milk where you live?
I do. I have a farm about an hour away. So I mean, I'm not doing any dairy at the moment.
Yeah.
But over the summer I went, and it was really good. I really like it. And I've made raw milk yogurt. I've made raw cream, butter, all that stuff. It's dairy's great. Dairy's great. You just I think the biggest mistake of when people go carnivore is they just pile on the dairy. So focus more on the meats. That's some advice I would give for sure.
Yeah. It's delicious and it's addictive.
It is. No, it's literally addictive. We've been eating red meat and fish a lot longer than we've been eating dairy. So it's still fairly new to us evolutionarily. But yeah, no, there are opioid receptors in the brain for dairy. It's quite addicting. So if you're somebody that can't keep it in the house, like definitely me, like I can't keep a block of cheese in the house because I'll eat it.
Same.
No, I'll just keep it on my girlfriend's, and then I won't go overboard there. So that's usually what I do. But at the moment, I'm looking to really get really lean. So no dairy for me. I feel fine without it.
Oh, nice. Yeah, over this Christmas, the nearest raw milk farm is like an hour and a half away. But like we were driving to Boston, so we just stopped by on the way, and I just went all out. Like we got 2 gallons. We got a whole like tray of cheese. I tried some colostrum, and just going. I'm still working on like finishing the cheese, but I've definitely felt like I packed on some mass over winter, let's say. But as soon as I finish the cheese, like I'm just looking forward to like really really cleaning up. Just like going back to like meat and eggs.
100%. I think that dairy is great, but I think that dairy is meant to help us put on weight. And there's definitely an indication of this, as we are the only adult species that drinks dairy past our childhood, which I find super weird. Because if you go in nature and you just don't see a lion drinking its mother's milk when it's an adult, it just doesn't happen. It's not a thing. We're also the only species that drinks dairy from other animals too, which I find really weird too. but it is nutrient dense. It is filled with nutrients. It's just, it helps you put on weight. So if you have trouble putting on weight, make dairy your best friend. If you want to lose weight, go light or go none with the dairy.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you say you're looking to get really lean. Like, what's that going to look like for you? Like,
well, I mean, the last time right now I sit around 12 or 13% body fat, which is fairly lean, but for Instagram purposes, I would like to get down again to like 9 or 10, just for a short period of time. So I have a few strategies to get that lean, and it's very difficult, and I don't recommend it for anybody, but
yeah,
what's it called? It's just for Instagram, for photo shoots, for profile pictures, all that stuff. I would never advise for somebody to get below their natural set point. And when you're carnivore for a long time without the dairy, you will naturally reach your set point. So that's kind of why I want to do that. But
yeah, pretty much.
Just for a short period, and then I'll put the weight right back on. I don't want to stay that lean, because even on carnivore, if we've seen bodybuilders do carnivore, even on carnivore, if you get too lean, too unnaturally lean, you still feel like crap. Not even running on fats can save you at that point. So
yeah, it's not easy, right? Like those final pounds, they're not easy to get rid of, man. It sucks.
Yeah,
the whole process sucks.
Yeah, no, but what's it called? It's very, very hard to get obese, and it's almost impossible without sugar. So at least you could think of it like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So what's your approach going to be like? Are you looking like? I mean, I assume you go to the gym, lift weights like regularly. Are you looking to like up your cardio or like cut a meal out? Like,
no. So I'm never touching cardio. I would never do it. I haven't done cardio since I was running, so almost 3 years. I of course go to the gym. I strength train. I used to do 4 days a week, and now I've worked my way up to 6 days a week, just because I haven't been sore ever eating this way.
Yeah.
So I'm going to keep training in the gym the same. My protein intake is going to go slightly higher each day. My fat intake is going to go slightly lower each day until I reach a point of a moderate fat diet. At no point will I ever go low fat, because I don't want hormones to tank. So that is my approach to it. Just slightly increase the protein, slightly lower the fat, and I'm going to do it without tracking. So it would just mean slightly increasing the amount of lean seafood I have, because it's filled with protein, and then just slowly lowering the fattiest steaks that I usually start with. So right now I'm doing 73-27, and at the end of this, I can imagine myself doing around 85-15, and just doing it that way. I find that way is the easiest to stay full for the longest and to really lean out on carnivore. Like I said, if you do carnivore without dairy, over time, like over a few years, 99% of people are going to be more than happy with their physique. These are just for the people that like really want to get extra leaner, and are like greedy like me. So
yeah, no, I hear you. Yeah, but I think most people will struggle. People who struggle with the weight will struggle to just like be strict for like long enough, right? Because whenever you slip up, that's when they mess up.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, that's interesting, because I mean, again, like it makes sense, right? Just dial down on the fat, not too much, and then you'll start seeing like how your body recomps, keeping the training steady.
Never want to be low-fat carnivore. Low-fat carnivore,
Yeah,
low-fat keto or low-fat carnivore, that's not a thing. It's not a thing for a reason, because when you get rid of carbohydrates, you only have fat as energy. You're not going to get energy from protein. You're not going to supply yourself of gluconeogenesis. You need enough fats. So, I see a lot of people go 80-20 as well. I just want to point out that it depends on the person. Some people feel really good 80-20 high-fat carnivore. For me, led to immediate weight gain. But some people just feel satiated and they end up eating less on high-fat carnivore. It's just, you have to think of it as just less energy over time, and that's what helps lead to my fat loss. But I'm trying to preserve as much muscle as I can, so slowly increasing the protein. And yeah, you made a good point before, as for like deviation from this way of eating, is I haven't had a cheat meal, and I don't even call them that anymore, because I just don't want to put the stuff in my body, and like eating a steak every day feels like a cheat meal itself. So I've never had any interest in deviating from this way of eating. I get asked that a lot of the time by people, and what people don't realize is, especially in the US where we are, 99% of people here are addicted to sugar. So if you become unaddicted to sugar, it doesn't become as appetizing for you when you see it. You just don't really need it. Like, you just think of it like another thing on the table. Where as you are addicted to sugar, you're eating every 2-3 hours. You need a hit of the sugar when you wake up before you go to bed. So, that's another reason why I love this way of eating is you actually break your addiction to sugar.
Yeah, it's life changing, man. It's life changing. But what would back in the day? What was your go-to sweet treat?
Oh my God!
Like ice cream or like cookies?
I was actually a savory guy. Like it just proves that no matter what kind of, if you like savory or sweet, you can still get that big because they're all carbohydrates at the end of the day and they all turn to sugar. But I was more of a bagels, pizza, and sandwich kind of guy than a sweets guy. Obviously, I had ice cream. Like I'm not going to get that big without having some ice cream. But I was definitely more of a savory guy for sure. However, I don't want any more of that stuff anymore. I don't crave it at all. And on the special occasions like Christmas, like I made my carnivore ice cream. So I'll have occasional dairy on the holidays. Like that's how I'll celebrate. So I could stay somewhat sane with everybody else not carnivore around me. So that's like raw heavy cream, egg yolks, a tiny bit of monk fruit, and little salt, and what's it called? Beef isolate powder. And that was my carnivore cream. I made a video on that too as well on my page. But that's what I'll do over the holidays. Like Super Bowl, I'll probably have some pork rinds and some dip or something like that I'll make myself. That's keto carnivore friendly. And then there's ways to play around with it. You don't have to eat sugar. There's no one out there that's telling you that sugar is a necessity. It's not. You don't have to give in over the holidays. So if you feel pressured, make your own thing and use it as an opportunity to show off, to be like, hey, I'm not addicted to sugar. I can go without this, and people will be impressed. You might be surprised.
Yeah. I'm always surprised by, I used to be like addicted to ice cream. I down like pints every day for the weekend. But dude, like last year was like the first year where, I only had ice cream like 2 times last year. Like I can count the times I had it. And to me, I'm like looking back, I'm like, wow, 2022, like, I do so much better without it, and I don't need it. The weekend is just for like big fat steaks.
No, literally, that's all you think about every single day you wake up. Well, first of all, when I wake up, I don't eat for the first 7-8 hours. I'm just not hungry. And then when I do get hungry, all I want is like a juicy steak. Like you just don't crave sugar anymore. It's amazing.
Crazy, man.
Amazing how the mind works. It really is.
Yeah. It's just like, it's not overblown to say just like how life-changing it is. And I think, I always try to encourage other people to at least give it like 30 days, which is like, like straight carnivore.
Mostly more. If you give me 30 days, I would have gained a ton of weight and then gave up. I say at least 3 to 6 months. You want to get fat adapted.
Yeah.
So once you're fat adapted, most of the time people are good. Whatever autoimmune they have significantly improved. They automatically feel better. Whatever the weight they may have gained is going to come off slowly. When you start carnivore, when you're coming from restriction and you're told to eat as much as you want, there's a good chance you're going to gain weight, but I think it's healthy weight. I think any weight gained during carnivore without dairy is super healthy. I think you should eat when you're hungry and stop when you're full. You don't have to overcomplicate it, especially when you're not eating sugar or anything that's going to drastically spike your blood sugar and make you hungry and craving. So I say 3 to 6 months. It really takes a commitment. It takes a long time. But the good news is you feel amazing. You cure whatever autoimmune you had. You eat until you're full every single day, and you eat delicious foods, and you sleep great. And there's just an endless amount of benefits to this way of life.
Yeah. So while we're on the topic of sugar, you say you had experimented with fruit for a while, but then you didn't like it that much. Like what happened there?
So I wanted to experiment because I saw Paul Saladino's posts, and I was curious. I'm like, what if I tried animal-based? And I didn't understand that to be in an optimal level physique-wise for bodybuilders, there has to be some small amount at least of carbohydrate backloading. I'm not saying that the average person should carbohydrate backload. I'm saying an Olympic athlete. I'm saying an ultra marathon runner. It might be a good idea to have some fruit or honey.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So those are my thoughts on that. Like 50 to 100 grams max. You don't ever have to go more than that. So I saw it. I tried it. Apparently, fruit's are the least toxic part of plants. Honey's not toxic as well. So it shouldn't irritate my IBS, right? It didn't. I tried it. It didn't at all. Unless I included the skin or the seeds, I was never in the bathroom. If I experimented with vegetables too for a week, I had a few, immediately sent me to the bathroom the whole day. My IBS was really, really sensitive to plants, except for fruit. So it was working. I thought I was doing great. I was eating a lot of fruit and a lot of meat. What I didn't understand is fruit's addicting too, and honey's addicting too, and your blood sugar does spike. So with that addiction, I ate more and more and more each day. It led to a lot of body fat gain, a lot of fat stored, and I just didn't feel as good. I started getting those crashes when I had too much fruit. If I had a little fruit, I was fine. But honestly, I just feel my best without fruit after coming back to carnivore. I've experimented with it. I might do it again. I don't know if I did it the right way. However, I've always felt my best pure carnivore. But there are some instances. If somebody can't gain weight and they're a really hard gainer, they don't have an autoimmune, and they're in good metabolic health, yeah, you should add some fruit. If you're someone that wants to lose a lot of weight, probably not a good idea to pile on the fruit. Remember that still fruit and honey, they are still turned to sugar, and too much sugar of any kind is still inflammatory. So, when I was doing too much fruit, I had things like my eczema came back, my dandruff came back, all the signs of insulin resistance. So I think there is definitely an amount of carbohydrates that people can get away with each day. For me, that amount seems to be around 50, but I feel my best with 0. So that's how I'll put that.
Yeah. That's I don't suffer from like IBS or eczema, although I guess I do suffer like minor discomfort like in the gut. Like I can feel the difference when I have like lots of fiber. But yeah, I'm like pretty similar to you. Just feel best just doing like meat and eggs. That's like home base, that's like home. Anything outside that, like here and there, it's cool, but there's nothing like really just like, getting dialed in on like meat and eggs.
Yeah. No, I've been strict, man. And I have a few of my clients that I train who actually do this, and they're very strict, and I don't ever deviate from this. So I don't know how I feel, but I can imagine I feel like crap if I ate something horrible. And my clients tell me every time. So let's say they're on carnivore for a few months, and they're like, oh, it was my birthday. I'm going to have a treat. I'm going to have a bagel. I'm going to have some pizza or pasta. They come to me the next week saying, oh my God, I'm so sorry I missed training. I was in bed all week. I felt horrible. I'm back to carnivore. And it happens with everyone. The more you deviate from a species appropriate diet, the more problems you're going to have, the sicker you're going to get. Another thing I should mention is throughout these 3 years, I haven't been to the doctor's office once. So I've not been sick at all. And when I was really heavy, I was sick every other week, missing school.
Yeah.
And it's all due to inflammation from sugar.
Yeah. Inflammation from sugar, and if you're overweight. I used to be the same case, man. I used to be like the ENT was my friend. Like we became buddies. I was excited to see that guy. I don't want to see that guy ever again. But yeah, even like the adipose tissues in like obese people can be inflammatory and just like release more like inflammatory cytokines into your system, and that's why when with like the famous infection, the bug flu and everything, like it targets these people specifically, right?
Yes.
They have a harder time with it, and yeah, there's just no better way to take care of for your health than just getting at a healthy weight and eating a species appropriate diet, fully on board. Tell me a little bit about your healing process. Like, would you say carnivore cured your IBS and eczema?
So no doubt, within the first week, my IBS was gone from carnivore, completely gone. Within 2 weeks, my eczema was gone. I had no pimples. I haven't had a pimple since, except when I have too much bacon, and we can go into that too. And when I have too much fruit, then I'll develop a pimple. And immediately you can tell right away when someone's gut up if they have a skin condition, because as soon as that goes away and as soon as an autoimmune goes away, you're more than a step ahead in the right direction. So definitely think that it was a very fast process for me. Again, I didn't get fat adapted until 4, 5, 6 weeks in to carnivore, and then I slowly started losing that weight. But like I said, any weight gain during carnivore when you first start is healthy weight gain. It's okay to gain weight. It's not, your enemy. A few years ago, if you would have told me now that I'd be 10 pounds heavier, weigh 180 instead of 170, I would have been like, oh my God, I gained 10 pounds. And then my physique has drastically changed with all muscle and compared to just a skinny fat physique. So it's weight's very different. Don't be afraid to gain weight, especially when you're eating so much protein. You're gaining a lot of lean muscle. And then the other thing is your gut will fix over time with carnivore. Just give it time, be patient, don't deviate.
Yeah. And did you, just out of curiosity, did you have to like include like bone broth to help your gut or anything like that, or
so
just the meat and organs did it for you?
I believe that a lot of the raw dairy when I started actually helped with my gut.
Okay. Yeah.
I didn't do bone broth till a few months in, and then now I'll have it occasionally. It's just not my favorite thing in the world, so I'll have it occasionally. I know people that drink it every day and like swear by it. I think it's great. I just have it occasionally. I didn't bring in any other fermented foods. I just had the raw dairy, so that's ultimately what really helped, and just honestly the elimination of it too. The other side of things definitely helped as well. So just getting rid of grains, getting rid of seed oils, getting rid of processed sugar, all that stuff.
Yeah. And when you added back the fruit, when you did the experiment, did you find like there were some particular fruits that would bring it back or like irritate you?
Yeah, the ones with the most seeds, for sure. The ones with the most seeds definitely sent me to the bathroom the most. There was no question about that. So if I had something like watermelon and I scraped out the seeds, I would be fine. If I had a cucumber with the skin and the seeds, I would totally be in the bathroom all day. If I had kiwi, which is very high in oxalates, I went to the bathroom all day because you're not going to scoop the little tiny seeds out of the kiwi.
The kiwi, yeah. Yeah, the kiwi's an asshole.
Or it's a bit ridiculous. So I tried to stick to the fruits without a lot of seeds. So I had a lot of avocados. I had a lot of olives without the pits, obviously. And I felt good. I just found it too easy to overdo.
Yeah.
And I definitely went past my carbohydrate limit because I was just overdoing it. And if I could do anything again, I would probably just stick with low sugar fruit or just do what I'm doing now, with just no fruit at all. So, it's good to experiment though. That's the point of carnivore for a lot of people, is to eliminate and then reintroduce. But if you feel great and you reintroduce and you don't feel good, why reintroduce in the first place,
Yeah, absolutely. Did you try any berries? How did the berries do you?
Berries didn't go well for me. I didn't have a good reaction to berries at all. No. It seemed like the seeds really irritated me. Because ideally we're not supposed to eat the seeds. So when you have a fruit, even with a lot of really small seeds, it still bothered me. I'm like very, very, very sensitive. My IBS is super sensitive. I can't imagine what it'd be like now after not having this for a long time and adding in like a vegetable. I can't imagine what would happen, or if there's tolerance building, or if it's getting worse. I don't know, but I don't have to know because screw vegetables.
Yeah, man. Yeah, those big salad bucket days are long gone.
True.
Which you say you also tried some vegetables, and again, I'm just curious because different people react different ways. But the vegetables you tried, how did you have them raw, or like were they like? What did you have? Like, did you have like spinach or like peppers?
Apparently, the white rice is the least toxic grain, and I had that, and I was in the bathroom all day, and then I tried sweet potatoes, which are apparently the least toxic root, which I still believe they are. It was too toxic for me. And then I tried stuff like asparagus cooked, and I tried carrots cooked, and it still sent me to the bathroom. It was like I just couldn't tolerate any plants, except fruit with no seeds and skin. And if I had too much of that, it would still come back. So, I mean, basically, my gut and my bathroom situation told me what diet was appropriate for me.
Yeah.
And I think that's important to realize too, is if you're eating a plant-based diet and you're going 5 or 6 times a day and you have large stool, like that's not normal. That's not very normal. And you smell, like that's not normal. Carnivores don't smell. I don't wear anything. I don't deodorant. I don't shampoo. I don't do any of it. You don't smell. When I added the vegetables that week, I did have body odor after that.
Help the BO come back, man.
Definitely. When I have onions by accident on steak, I feel the BO right away. It's like seriously. Like that little thing can actually cause that.
Yeah, man. Just really makes you think, right? Like, why did we even start eating these things? Are we supposed to eat them? Like, sure, some people can tolerate them better, but I just I think people who might be more sensitive to these plant foods should be like good canaries in the coal mines for everyone else, because the way I look at it is like, we're all human, like we all share like the same physiology. Sure, some might be more tolerant to the toxins or to like the irritability of the fibers. That doesn't mean we should be having it though.
Yeah, no, I mean, people can handle a certain amount of sugar more than other people. It doesn't mean that sugar is good,
Yeah, exactly.
So, and vegetables are mostly sugar anyway. But you just tend to realize that they're unnecessary. Yeah, they're okay, they're fine. Like, you're not going to die if you eat vegetables, but they're just unnecessary. The phytic acid, the oxalates, the anti-nutrients in them are just not worth it. Like, I just don't understand why people would have them, but people do. And the worst part about all of it, I think, is that if you have an autoimmune like I did, and I just kept eating this way the rest of my life, I never would have knew that the vegetables caused it. Which is just mind blowing to me. It was very hard to make that transition at first, and really change my mindset about it, because I wanted to go to school for nutrition too as a trainer. I was super into it. So all we're taught is broccoli. Just eat a lot of broccoli. Good. Just eat a lot of leaves. And then when you go outside, you look at it and you look down at the ground. I'm like, do I really want to eat this? Like, do I So that it's just such a different way of looking at it. And once you go carnivore, you just don't go back to that way of looking at it.
Yeah. Then you realize, like, I never really enjoyed broccoli anyways.
No.
There's no need for it.
There's no person in this world that's taking a broccoli over a juicy steak, except those that for some reason don't want to eat the steak.
Oh man, yeah.
Happens. There are people like that. It's unfortunate. I love hearing the stories of people that haven't had red meat in years and they've been vegan for years, and they finally try steak and like their world explodes. Like they're the coolest stories to hear. It's so nice to hear people like finally eat the food that they're supposed to be eating.
Yeah.
I love hearing that stuff. I get texts every day too, like somebody was vegan and your page convinced them to eat meat again, and I'm like, that's so cool. Like, you must have felt amazing. So that's why you and I do what we do, is to spread awareness for this way of eating, and to get the message out that these foods aren't bad for you. They're actually way better than anything else you're probably eating. So,
Yeah, it's the best. It's the best, man. Like, I truly believe, there's obviously like examples of like indigenous cultures that, all indigenous cultures eat meat to some extent, but even some might be like more, eat more plants than others, or eat like very small amounts of meat. But
there's definitely proof that we eat plants. 100% there's proof we eat plants.
Yeah.
If we couldn't find meat and we needed energy to survive, we would have to get it from plants on the ground. We'd have to get it from foods. But if given a choice, would we really have taken a leaf on the ground over like a liver, or over a fatty ribeye? Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like,
yeah, it doesn't make sense. I truly believe like red meat is like, the highest quality food on earth. Like,
definitely,
that's just facts. No one can say otherwise, and everyone would do better eating more red meat.
I agree.
Yeah, but you mentioned, so you went to school for nutrition, right? You studied nutrition.
So I was transferring schools, looking for nutrition schools, but I just couldn't find anything that suited what I wanted to do. I don't want to work under, a nutritionist or a dietitian my first few years, or school my first few years that's run by major companies. Because the more you dive into this, you realize that General Mills and PepsiCo and Mars and big pharma and big government and big agriculture control all of the nutrition schools, all of the food pyramids and food charts, all of the recommended data. So I don't want to get involved with that, and I don't want to go to school to then teach somebody, hey, you're a diabetic, you should eat grains, and you should eat rice, and you should eat sugar, and oatmeal. And I don't want to be taught that, and I don't want to be taught to tell people to limit saturated fat, because saturated fat is 100% of my diet. So it just didn't work for me. I think that doing things privately would have just been ultimately the better choice.
Yeah. So you were looking to transfer schools? Like, were you in school for something else before?
I was in school for sports management and sports journalism. I'm super into sports, but I mean, when I was really big, I watched a lot of sports, and when I lost the weight, I just developed this passion for fitness, and and nutrition, and I knew I wanted to do that for a living. So any way to make that happen, I want to help people lose weight. I want to help people feel good. So fitness and nutrition is where it's at. The only issue is that modern fitness and nutrition just have so many problems. So now I try and debunk them all.
Yeah. We certainly need more people who are bridging the gap between just like conventional nutrition and fitness, and now like this new way. It's like a whole new world, like this animal based, just like meat based carnivore world to nutrition and fitness. It's really exciting stuff, and I'm fully convinced like in the following decades, 10, 20 years, it might take a long time, I don't know, the science will start like supporting this diet, because as you said, the whole system's hijacked. Like wake up people, like see for yourselves, like it was never about your health.
Never about your health. Never. There were there's no recordings of stuff like heart disease and cancer and these inflammation we have today if we go back a few hundred years ago. And how long we've been around, millions of years. And what have been eating for millions of years? Red meat. So all of a sudden in the last 50 years, the red meat we've been eating suddenly changed, and now it causes heart disease. You just seriously wake up, like seriously, because
the attack is real on humanity, man, and it's from all fronts.
It's upsetting how so many processed food companies control everything. I mean, they control the whole supermarket. You walk into a supermarket ready to buy food, and it's going to be in a box or a bag filled with processed sugar and seed oils. Unless you stay on the outside aisle the whole trip, you're getting processed sugar. Like there's no way around it. You can try and read every label in the world, and I try and help people with that. But at the end of the day, real food's going to win every single time.
Absolutely. And it's just so prevalent. It's upsetting. Even like sometimes I'll go check out like the broth boxes at the supermarket.
Yeah.
And they'll have flour added to them. Some of them will even have like high fructose corn syrup.
Yeah. I mean, it tastes good. There are people that literally sit in a factory that work for these companies, like Lay's. They hire people to create a bliss point, which is the perfect mix between salt and sugar and fat, and it gets you addicted. So, is it really these people's fault that they're addicted? I don't know. You could argue either way, but these developers literally create this food to be highly palatable and make you not want to stop and make your brain chemistry just get addicted. It's a sugar addiction is like any other addiction in the world, except there are no helplines because there's too many companies that rely on it and processed sugar.
Yeah. And they basically put a spell on people, and it's very hard for someone who's like struggling with that addiction to pull themselves out. Which is why I was just thinking, a couple of days ago, like Saladino released like a podcast on like artificial sweeteners. But he made the claim, and I thought it was ridiculous. He made the claim that like if you're diabetic, you should just eat maple syrup instead of like using an artificial sweetener.
It's insane. I mean, the idea is to not use any because artificial sweeteners are still proven to drive sugar cravings. They are thousands of times stronger than actual sugar. However, their effect on the body is not maple syrup. So there's two sides of the argument here. I definitely disagree with that. I would take artificial sweetener over maple syrup for someone who's diabetic. That's insane.
Man.
It's insane. Yeah. He's also been saying that fruit and honey can't cause diabetes, and they 100% can. There is no doubt about that. There's the other thing is tooth decay as well. I'd like to see his teeth in a few years, as he doesn't use any products, and I don't either. But he eats a lot of sugar, and I don't. So I want to see. I'm a big believer that protein and fat alone won't cause cavity and won't cause decay in the teeth. So I rarely brush my teeth, and I have very good teeth and very good taken care of. I would love to see that in a few years. We're going to find out in 5 to 10 years if, that amount of fruit was really optimal or not. And I have a really good feeling it's not.
Yeah, no, it's crazy because over the years, you can see how his intake has just increased. It started with a few tablespoons of honey, and now it's like, he's still calling that animal-based. To me, it looks like a plant-based diet, man.
No, it's so much. It's an insane amount of fruit. It's a ridiculous amount of fruit.
It is.
I think there are days where he goes 200 to 300 grams of carbohydrates, and that's just That's just absurd, and it's absurd that he's in such good metabolic health that he's not fat. It's like amazing to me that he's still shredded. Like, there are different people with different genes, and I can't get away with that. I can't even get away with 100 grams of carbohydrates a day before I start to see visceral fat.
Same.
So, some people are genetically gifted, and where he lives also, you also have to think about, it's not the same kind of fruit as what we pick up in the grocery store as well, which is what a lot of people don't understand, is they can pick up an apple that's not nutrient dense because it's not organic and it's filled with pesticides and GMOs. That's not the same fruit as the fresh banana from Costa Rica off a tree that he just got locally. Not the same. We look at fruit today, and it's double, triple the size of what fruit used to be. Fruit used to be very small. Fruit used to not have as much sugar, and now we have, sort of ruined what real fruit is supposed to be like and look like and taste like. But going back to the point, I mean, before still that too much sugar of any kind is inflammatory, even if it comes from fruit, honey, and maple syrup. However, I do believe they're the safest option if you're ever going to add carbs back into your diet.
Yeah, I think that makes perfect sense, and I think it's fine to say you like sweets, you like fruit, and he should just say, I like sweets, rather than, because what bothers me particularly is, I don't care that he eats 300 grams. I think it's ridiculous, but he's out there like speaking out against carnivore now. He speaks out against keto.
He does.
He's actually like.
I agree. I know he had the electrolyte issues, and I recommend when somebody goes carnivore for the first time to always take electrolytes, and then to add a variety of seafood so you never have an issue with electrolytes in the future.
Exactly.
So, if he would have done that, he might have just still been carnivore. But yeah, he ran into electrolyte issues, and for some reason, 300 grams of carbohydrates is what came out of that. I think there's enough electrolytes in 300 grams of fruit. And it's insanity. But he does now. He trashes on keto carnivore because his experience, he just didn't have enough electrolytes. So that's his personal experience. And now he said that long-term keto and carnivore are not good, even though you look at our ancestors and they ate fruit seasonally, if they any at all, and they did pretty damn well. So it's a rough argument. I don't know.
Yeah. It concerns me because the whole reason why carnivore works is because you're eliminating everything else, right? Like it's like you're learning how to eat again. And if you tell someone you don't have to worry, you can have maple syrup, bro. Maple syrup's like it's tree juice.
He also never had now he does, but he never had a sugar addiction. He never had it before. So if people are like coming from binge eating or they're addicted to sugar, you can go overboard in honey and maple syrup. You can do that. It's not that. A few tablespoons of honey is a lot of carbohydrates, a very small amount. So again, it really depends on the person. It really depends if you're an ultra marathon runner, if you're a top athlete and you might want some honey before a game, that's understandable. But if you are just a regular old person looking to lose weight and stay lean, 300 grams of carbohydrates, ridiculous, insanity. Not the way to do it. Not the way at all.
Yeah.
I've done it with rice. I mean, originally when I was eating, bodybuilding style diet, which is low fat and high carbohydrates, I was getting up to 200-300, and I felt horrible. The cravings every night were unreal. Never had it more difficult for sure because sugar causes cravings. It's like alcohol. It's like an alcoholic. You can't tell an alcoholic to drink on the weekends and have it in moderation because they're addicted. So it's the same deal with sugar. If you go overboard, you're going to return addicted no matter what you're eating.
Yeah. And telling a diabetic to eat maple syrup, it's telling the alcoholic to, just have a few drinks. It's cool.
Yeah. No problem. It's ridiculous. That's funny.
Yeah, man. It's disappointing. Really, because he puts out a lot of good information.
He does. His holistic health information, top tier. He is the cleanest living people that I know that I've ever seen, and it's just a shame that he has that many carbohydrates. It's ridiculous to me.
Yeah. I hope I don't know. I hope he changes his mind, or like, kind of like circles back to being like, hey, maybe I was wrong to like say all these things
Yeah.
about carnivore. Like, here's where I went wrong. Like, well, I wish he could just say that, rather than scare other people away, because I get people who they reach out. They're like, oh, I'm doing carnivore, and like I'm not seeing the benefits. I'm like, well, what are you eating? And they go, fruit, honey, organs, meat. And I'm like, okay, you're not really doing carnivore. You're
No,
not getting the benefits of carnivore.
no, exactly. And yeah, no, you can get to a point where Paul Saladino's diet is literally fruit and vegetable. I mean, fruit and is paleo at this point. It's so many carbohydrates that you can call it a standard American diet. The amount of carbohydrates he has, it's going to lead to insulin resistance over time. I have no doubts about that.
Yeah.
Genetically, he's just in great shape. Great shape.
Yeah, I think it's just always been a lean guy. Like it's just always been like, there's always the kind of people who, dude, I know friends who eat garbage all day. They're skinny.
Yep.
They just eat garbage and they eat all day, man. They just can't help it. They just eat out of boredom. They eat snacks. They eat chips. They eat chocolates. They're skinny.
Yeah.
Crazy. Their organs are probably having a hard time.
Exactly. And you're genetically predisposed. So, you're genetically predisposed to have a difficult time putting on weight. That's the thing. That's definitely real out there. But, over time, it will catch up to them. Skinny people can get diabetes. Skinny people, they can have heart attacks. It totally happens. So you can only get away with it for so long and still look skinny, even though you would have probably felt better even eating a steak.
Yeah. I think if you were to count the calories from like what he eats in a day, I'm pretty sure like, it's 60-70% just from like carbohydrates. Like it's too much. It's too much. It's unhinged.
Absolutely.
But anyways, let's enough bashing. No, I think it's important to talk about it though, so that other people hear the criticism, because I think it's completely fair criticism. And usually I don't like to be critical of like other people, but when you're speaking out negatively against carnivore, like to me it is, it's like personal, man, because
I would have been totally fine if he just did his own thing with animal base and didn't bash keto carnivore after. But the fact that he does say that about long-term ketogenic diets, even though there's a lot of people that have been doing long-term ketogenic diets and having no issues. And it's just I agree. I agree with you.
Yeah, but I want to ask you, how have your parents reacted? Do you live with your parents?
So yeah, I live with my mom.
Yeah, your mom. How has she reacted to the whole like carnivore transition thing? Does she think you're crazy? Does she think it's just a phase you're going through?
So my uncle actually does this as well. He's a cardiologist, and he's very big into carnivore.
Oh, really? Nice.
He started with keto, then he found carnivore, and very similar to me. And my mom actually follows keto as well. She's very close to carnivore. There's a few spices and seasonings or whatever, but she's borderline. She's carnivore-ish, I guess you could say. So no, my parents had no reaction. They love this way of eating. They feel good themselves. My dad doesn't eat the same, but he understands. You eat to feel good. You eat for optimal health and for well-being. So it's understandable. Yeah, you have to convince them that cholesterol is okay and saturated fat is okay and they're good for you. But usually when you break a few things down, it's not that difficult, and people are like, "Oh, okay, that makes sense." And I think the hardest thing is that you have to convince people every day that plants are bad for you, so or just not beneficial at all.
Yeah. Dude, your uncle's a cardiologist and he's carnivore.
He is.
He's like the type of guy we need.
Yeah, I know. It's rare to see, but there's becoming more and more carnivore doctors, and it's so nice to see.
Yeah, man. We should talk to your uncle at some point.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I'm still trying to convince my mother to just give it a shot. She's not against meat, but she just loves her fruits and vegetables.
The easiest way to do it is just to let her see your success, and then eventually they'll want to do it. Like a few of my friends literally tried it. I don't talk to them about it at all, and they're from college buddies that are not even home right now, and they're like, "Hey, I just started carnivore in college, like because of you, like I'm feeling really good. I'm like, oh, great. Like I didn't even do that at all. Like they just want to do it because they felt inspired. So just inspire others, and eventually we'll convert more people to this amazing way of eating and this lifestyle.
Yeah, at some point, this movement has to reach critical mass, and it'll just become conventional mainstream, and then all the fact checkers are just going to be popping veins everywhere. It's funny. I had a post about seed oils get fact checked like last week, and if you go read the fact checks, like missing context, like they changed the label because I appealed, and first it was like, this is false, right? And then they were just like, oh, the post is missing context.
It's wild. I saw Paul going back to Paul Sal,
Oh yeah, he had the same thing.
Canola oil one got flagged. It's like the government literally doesn't want us to succeed. It's amazing.
It's like they're realizing people are like catching on to these seed oils, man, being an issue, and so I expect we're going to see more of this fact checking on social media, because it's getting on the radar.
Now that in my opinion, if I had to take one thing out, it would be that. So I'm really glad. I think everyone has an understanding that processed sugar is not good for them. So that's good. But I think a lot of people have an understanding that grains and gluten are probably not good for them. Next up is seed oils, and then finally is going to be vegetables. At least if all you had to do one thing is to get rid of seed oils, or just make it known mainstream that they are totally horrible for our health, and not good quality stuff, the worst quality stuff you could put in your body, to be honest.
Yeah, and just by removing seed oils, you'll be removing so much of like the other refined grains and refined sugars, because it's just everywhere.
It's clumped together. It's a package for sure. Most things are all together. Processed sugar and seed oils, they go hand in hand. Although you got to be careful, because I've literally seen burger patties in Costco last week that had seed oils in them.
Seed oils.
I've seen salmon with seed oils. I've seen salmon with a coating, and it was all processed sugar. And you see processed meat have added sugar to it. So even on a carnivore diet, you still have to be a detective, read labels, understand what's in the food. If you find something that doesn't look like your normal purchase of ground beef or eggs, and there's a lot of stuff on the label, I don't know. You gotta really understand it. You gotta really be a detective. I tend to see that there's nothing on meat or nothing on butter that wants you to convince you that it's good for you. Like for example, one says lower cholesterol, one says high in fiber, low net carbs or whatever it is. These products all have to convince you that they're good for you. But you never see this on butter. You only see it on margarine. You only see it on vegetable oils that are saying heart healthy, good for you, reduce fat, less saturated fat.
Yeah.
But on butter, you just see butter because it's a real food. So eat real foods, and that's my point.
Yeah, man, that's such a good point. I always think about that too. It's the cereal has to tell you it's high in fiber, it's good for you. I'm like, if it was so good for you, it'd just be like common knowledge.
Exactly.
Right? Like, why do they have to convince you? It's
right. Exactly. 100%.
It's brainwashing of the finest.
Literally.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you, do you see yourself like eating like this way for the rest of your life, or like?
Okay, so I definitely see myself going without grains, processed sugar, seed oils for the rest of my life. I may eventually in the future want to experiment with fruit, especially if I get super active. However, this way of eating, meat-based, will always be for the rest of my life. There's no chance I'm deviating from this after how good I feel. I could even be carnivore for the rest of my life. I could see that happening too if fruit doesn't work out again. But I gave fruit a shot. It didn't work. I'm going to try again in a long time. But as of right now, this is the way I eat. This is the way I feel good. And I'm going to continue to feel good for as long as I can. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I fully agree. Like, I don't think I could ever go back to whatever I was eating
once
before.
You see, I honestly just think once you see how it's made, like you never want to return to it again. I think that's what did it for me. Is once you see how it's made, like I don't want interest in that. I'm good. I don't need it anymore. And then once you become fat adapted as well, you realize, hey, maybe I just don't want this stuff anymore. Like I just want fats. Like it's a total mind shift. But you just don't feel a need to go back.
Yeah.
I might want to experiment with fruit again to see if Paul Saladino actually, but even so, fruit can get out of hand, so it can be really tricky.
Yeah.
It'll be
Yeah.
carnivore for a long time now, so we'll see how it goes. I'm expecting it to go really well.
Yeah. I mean, in my view, I just view fruit as dessert. Like, if you must have dessert, like go to fruit. I don't think it's
it's fine as a dessert, but the issue is you don't want to have it too late and impact digestion. You don't want to have carbohydrates too late. If you're going to have it at all, have a pre-workout if you're super active. But then if you're addicted to sugar, fruit's not a good idea.
It's going to spiral out of control.
So, and 99% of people now are addicted to sugar. So for most people, fruit's probably not a great idea. You can get away with an avocado, you can get away with some berries, but when you start adding the mango, the pineapple, the honey, like it can really spiral for sure out of control.
Yeah, the really sugary ones for sure. Yeah, I mean, I don't even think like you should be having them like on a daily basis. I think like on rare occasion, like it's fine.
I agree.
If you feel like you need to have something sweet every day, you're addicted.
Yeah, I agree. I was at a point where I celebrated the holidays with like a bowl of fruit, and that was great for me. It didn't lead to anything. I've also seen people that tried that too, and then right after that, they got addicted again, and then they wanted fruit every day.
More fruit,
I celebrate the holidays with dairy, and I just feel way better with that just because it has less carbohydrates overall. So that's when I have that, and it keeps me sane and it keeps me going. So I have no problem eating this way for longevity.
Yeah. At some point, I think I'd like to like raise my own animals. Do you ever think about like stuff like that?
Yeah, I think about it until you realize that each chicken produces like one egg, and I'm like at one egg a day, and I'm like I eat like 15 eggs a day. This is gonna be difficult. I eat a lot of food, so raising my own animal is not ideal for me. However, it is ideal if I'm going to live somewhere or buy a house in the future that it be near a regenerative farm.
Also that.
Definitely a goal for me is to be near an affordable regenerative farm so I can get the freshest food possible and not have to go to a supermarket anymore. So they're impossible to find on Long Island. I'm lucky enough I can find raw milk here. So eventually, if I leave, I would definitely get a place somewhere near that instead of my own animals for sure.
Yeah. I like the idea of like making my own food, but I kind of feel like the same way about you. I mean, I need like.
No, I really love hunting and catching and eating my own food. Like fishing and eating the fish after. It is the best tasting fish you'll ever have. And hunting and eating like a deer after, it tastes amazing. It doesn't taste the same when it's been sitting in a freezer for a long period of time. So
yeah, you been hunting?
I've hunted before. I've most of the time I'm fishing though. I'm in an environment where I fish. I've only hunted once before, so but the fishing is a great lifestyle. It's very, very healthy, and there's a lot of food you can catch, and it's fresh. So it's definitely a good option. It's something that not a lot of people think of, but somewhere you can fish, somewhere near a regenerative farm are my goals.
Yeah, man, I should go fishing. There's actually lots of fishing that goes on around here, and I had never had that thought for a reason until now, until you mentioned it. I've been thinking about hunting. I need to learn how to hunt this year because, I think it's the most honorable way to feed yourself, right?
I used to think of it as so gross until I realized that this is what we do and this is what we've been doing.
Yeah, I can't wait to try.
It's amazing. It's an amazing thing that is getting less popular as the years go by and as we keep getting more plant-based, but it's something that we got to bring back.
Yeah.
It's what makes men for sure.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, for real. Do you hear a lot of like plant-based propaganda over there in Long Island? Because I know like the mayor of New York City, what was his name? Eric Adams, or was it another lady now? No.
Yeah.
Eric Adams is the mayor. The lady is the governor now. Yeah. It's insane over there. Like I went to college in New York, and I remember like Mondays were meatless Mondays.
Yeah. Oh my God, that triggers me so much that they do meatless Mondays. It's crazy.
Yeah. Luckily, I could still find meat because That was when I was keto, so I'd just be eating like, burger patties, throwing away all the buns because they wouldn't serve me the burgers without the buns.
Wow.
So
No, this area is pretty plant based. It's
really,
shocking to shocking to everyone when I convince them that saturated fats are good and vegetables aren't as good, and it doesn't make sense to people here at all. So definitely aren't as big as you might think. But what's it called? There's a lot of stores that are a lot of green stores where you can get shakes and smoothies and salads and all that shit. So there's a lot of places like that around. So obviously, I would say it's more plant based. I think the city's the worst when it comes to plant based. Is they have a lot of fake meat in the city, definitely.
yeah,
That is definitely has more of those green shops than Long Island, but Long Island still has its share for sure.
yeah, yeah. I guess it's just a very like Northeast kind of thing. I mean, I don't know.
It's a California thing too.
Yeah.
I see a lot of carnivores
West
from
Coast.
California, and they all tell me how plant-based it is there, and how definitely.
Yeah, man. Do you, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I should move somewhere else because I'm here in Massachusetts.
I feel the same way. I'd love to be in Florida or Texas one day.
Florida or Texas, yeah.
Sure, 100%. I would love to.
We're on the same page there. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like most of the people who turn to carnivory kind of align like with the same feeling.
Yeah, we want to be in warm areas where we can go outside and actually enjoy life.
Get sunlight year round.
Definitely.
Honestly, I don't think I can do another winter, man. I think this is the last winter I want to be here.
I know.
Yeah, it's sad, dude. I get so pasty white. Like I'm usually like way darker. I'm from a tropical country. But yeah, man. So we're reaching the 1 hour 16 minutes. How are you doing with your time?
Good. I mean, if you want to keep going, we can. I mean, I'm down. Whatever you want.
Yeah, no, this is fun, man. This is fun. Yeah, it's some carnivore bonding.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Do you still? How many more questions do you have on your list?
How many more what?
How many questions did you have left?
I think I covered them all of them. Yeah. One of them was how have you changed your mind, like your opinion on nutrition and carnivore, like since you started carnivore? But I guess you kind of touched on that because you mentioned, you were like big into calories before, and now like you don't want to look back.
Yeah.
Were you ever, when you started carnivore, were you ever concerned that what you were doing might, did you ever have like any doubt, like in the back of your mind, like, hey, maybe I'm crazy?
When you see weight gain pile on like that, you do have doubts. You 100% have doubts. I looked in the mirror and I'm like 17% body fat. What am I doing right now? Like I'm used to being, well, first of all, I was like 50% body fat, but I thought I was going to go back to what I was with eating like this. I'm like, it's just too many calories. It's too many calories. I kept telling myself that. And then over time, you just got fuller. Over time, you just weren't as hungry anymore. Yeah. I just didn't eat as much. I'm telling you, bro, when I started carnivore, I was eating up to 36 eggs a day. I was eating up to 2 or 3 pounds of red meat a day. And I was eating over a stick of butter a day. Like I had an appetite, man. I was eating 5,000-6,000 calories a day easily, no problem, especially with the butter I was piling on. And I was in the bathroom like crazy because people don't understand that fats control your bowel movements. So I was eating until I was full, though, and that's what you're supposed to do. The biggest nutrition myth, one of the biggest in my opinion, is the portion control, or to eat until you're 80% full. Like there's no portion control in nature. It doesn't exist. And no one in nature is fat, because if people in nature were fat, they would have been eliminated. Or species in nature were fat, they would have been eliminated. So what do natural animals do? What do natural mammals do? They eat their natural diet and they eat until they're satiated. So I knew that there had to have been a way for satiety signals to go back in place. And if I went back to the other route, I still would have been counting calories today. I still would have been starving myself today on the wrong foods. My gut would not have been healed. I would not have felt as good up here. And I would not live anywhere near the lifestyle or the influencer promoting that I do today. So, a lot changes. I made a list, by the way. I did want to read this out. I forgot about this. I made a list of everything that I don't use anymore or that improved since I went carnivore. It's a very long list.
Yeah, go for it.
Give me 1 second. It's gonna be like literally a minute long of reading. Hold on. It's a lot of stuff. Okay. Wait, hold on. 1 second. Hold on. Oh, I gotta find it. I had it 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Got it. All right. List of all the changes in my lifestyle when I started carnivore. Ready? So here they are. No toothpaste, no deodorant, no moisturizers, no shampoo or conditioner, no body wash, no more IBS, no more sunscreen, no more detergent or dish soap, no more toilet paper because everything is good in there. No more takeout from food. I use baking soda now to clean my dishes. I lowered my stress by closing my circle and my friends. I brought my fasting insulin to normal. I save money with no snacks. I eat red meat daily. I only cook using cast iron stainless steel. I never took another nap. I saved money with no alcohol. I learned about bioavailability. I use white vinegar to do my laundry. I sauna 5 days a week. I realized how many people are sugar addicts. I'm never sore from workouts anymore. I improved my mental health. I threw out plastic Tupperware and only used glass. I lost fat and built muscle without trying. I learned about plants' defense chemicals. I threw out my nonstick pans. I felt food freedom. I filter all my water to reverse osmosis. I quit coffee. No more anxiety. No more being depressed. I never got sick. I reduced my screen time by half. You want me to keep going?
Yeah, go on. I love it.
I wear blue glasses at night. I drastically improved my gut health. I stopped watching prawn. Can easily say no to sugar. I created a routine without stress. I never touched a receipt again. I woke up to natural sunlight instead of an alarm, and I get sunlight daily. I put my red lights on super late at night. I raised testosterone naturally, recovered from a toxic bodybuilding diet, ate within the circadian rhythm, stopped playing video games, started reading more, learned more about nature, learned how to cook real food, raw eggs daily, salted everything heavily, questioned modern masculinity, no more binge eating disorder, raw organs daily, and then met amazing people that live a similar lifestyle. And from that list, I'll still get comments today that people say it's a fad diet or a fad way of eating, and they don't realize that this way of eating led me to make all of those changes. When I was eating a carb heavy diet or sugar heavy diet, I felt lazy. I felt undetermined. I felt unmotivated. I didn't want to work out. I had no interest in it. And when you eat this way, you have an urge to do stuff, an urge to be productive almost. So it's cool stuff. It's life changing, 100%.
Yeah, man. Yeah, dude, that's great. I mean, so many of those things I can relate to. 100%. 100%.
I'll have to put that list on Instagram and make a video.
Yeah, you do. You should. Yeah. It's once it's like you pierce a veil with carnivore, but then you start just waking up to all these other lies around us.
Yeah. When you become an ingredient detective, bro, you look at everything. You realize that there's seed oils in my moisturizer. There's seed oils in my shampoo.
Yeah.
You're putting that stuff in your skin, and you get like super holistic without even trying. And it's not, everything doesn't happen overnight. And I want to preference that when I post about this, but it really doesn't happen overnight. It's a
process.
It's a process. It's one after the other. It just happens. And that's how you have to do it. You can't expect to be perfection overnight or develop a perfect routine overnight. It's one habit leads to the next. And all the habits are gathered, centered around an ancestral lifestyle and diet.
Yeah. This is the way, man.
It is the way. Also need to mention the sauna into cold showers every morning too is a game changer. Absolutely. Yeah. Hot to cold therapy.
Yeah, I need to find a place with a sauna around here. The gym I go to doesn't have one.
The gym I work at has one. It's amazing.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm so jealous. Dude, wait. So I have a question from the list. You don't use toilet paper anymore?
Well, I used to for the first few months, and then after ghost, like there was no. I mean, I can check, but like there's never anything there. It's like effortless. The only instance where I will use it is if I eat way too much fat, and then and my stool's way too soft. But otherwise, I go once every 3 or 4 days now.
Yeah.
So I'm barely using anything. Like I swear every time I go, like it's literally.
Yeah.
When I had IBS, I was using a roll like every day. I was going 5-6 times a day. When I had too much fruit, I had a problem in the bathroom as well. But yeah, no, literally, the bathroom situation is like I've never felt better in my life, and that's honestly one of the biggest arguments you can make to plant-based people is, the amount of fiber you're having. There's so much waste coming out of you every single day, multiple times throughout the day. How could that be healthy? And then I tell people that I go once every 3 days, and they're like, "Oh my God, you're probably so constipated." I'm like, no, literally, what's it called? I've literally been perfect, like literally no problems at all in the bathroom, and people don't understand it until they try it.
Oh, I think it's my brother's watching. It says amazing list. I agree with it too. Carnivore makes me stay on track. Switch audio from cam. Oh man, was I using the? Fuck.
Can you still get the audio?
Yeah.
Oh wow, you sound good now.
I can't believe I wasn't using the mic the whole time.
I can still hear you. Good. It just you sound.
Man.
There's no background. It's good.
Yeah. Oh man. I won't make that mistake again.
It is what it is, bro. It happens. I made a million mistakes when I was starting my podcast too. I totally made so many mistakes.
Yeah, we're still figuring out some stuff around here, but it's one of our projects for this year, man. Because I think there's value to having conversations and just sharing them so people can watch. Like I think people appreciate it. It's more authentic, more raw. There's just too many people who take themselves too seriously out there.
For sure. I agree too. I agree.
So, we're looking forward to working on this, upping the production quality, of course. And, like having you come back. I mean, I think I love the carnivore community. I love talking to other carnivores. So everyone's just so based, man.
Everyone's nice. Everyone's super nice. I've gotten along with, I think, every single person in it. And like the thing is too, is like, I have to say, when I went full carnivore, like I've never been more chilled out and like relaxed and calm. And when I've had a lot of sugar, I was off the walls, mood swings, energy changes, and you can tell in somebody's personality too, the way they're living. Definitely, I've never felt more calm and relaxed in my life. Like it's effortless. And the anxiety's gone. The anxiety's completely gone as well. So it's another thing.
Yeah, it's as long as you have meat and eggs, like you realize you can be at peace. Nothing else can be taken away from you because you have health, you feel good, you're eating delicious, and it's just, man, everything just improves in your life. It's just like night and day difference from how I felt before. I wanted to ask you also from your list. So you use baking soda for detergent?
Yes.
Like that's for like doing dishes.
So
what doing laundry?
Dishes, and then laundry. I use distilled white vinegar because a lot of the dishes and laundry detergents are artificially colored and use fragrances, which is the natural flavors of the product world. Is fragrances. If you ever see on the box fragrance, they can use one of I think it's 3,000 ingredients. You can use anything in there. So to reduce my risk of cancer even more, I just go with plain old distilled white vinegar. And people ask it to my clothes smell. They don't at all. It doesn't smell like anything. It's totally smellless. So yeah.
Interesting. I haven't made the switch for like detergents. I do make my own soap though.
I just bought I just bought beef tallow soap. This amazing company sent me some. It's very cool stuff. I mean, I don't use it. I mean, if I'm super dirty and I need to wash my hands, I'll pull out the beef tallow soap. But otherwise, I don't really use anything, and I don't use toothpaste either, like at all. I just find that it's the risk to reward it's never worth it. You don't want to put anything artificial, factory made in your body. The least amount of stuff you can do, the better.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, don't rub or put anything on your body that you wouldn't put in your mouth. I think that's an important rule because your skin is your largest organ. So you're absorbing everything that comes in or near it. Then you learn about Febreze and you're like, what the hell? There's actually endocrine disruptors in Febreze that make your hormones out of whack and make you feel like crap and tired. And I'm like, I know this, so I got rid of Febreze. I just, use natural essential oils or something or just anything natural, really.
Yeah. No, if you figure at some point, like all these artificial products replaced something else, why? Why? Is it too much to ask to just not be bombarded by all these like petroleum derived products that just are everywhere?
Not in the world we live in today, unfortunately.
Yeah. But I haven't tried going as far as you have. I just make my own soap now, and I use that. I just use the bar for literally everything. Like I use it for my hands. I barely wash my hands now too, which is weird because I used to wash them all the time, but maybe like 2 times or 3 times a day.
The Purelling. I used to Purell all the time. Oh, I wish I could take it back, man. I wish I could take it back, but it is what it is. You live and you learn. So it's just, unfortunately, most people don't learn. So we're blessed that I got the, the wisdom to learn now and the awareness to learn. So it's all about spreading the awareness.
Yeah, and then you mentioned you switched to RO water.
I switched to reverse osmosis water. So
yeah.
That's the cleanest one I could find my hands on. I got a countertop reverse osmosis filter for Hanukkah, actually. That was like my present. That's what I wanted. And it's funny, like most 21-year-olds want like video games or like alcohol or something. I wanted a water filter, but I got it and I use it every day, and it's very clean, like unbelievably clean. It removes everything from it.
What did you get? Like an AquaTrue or?
I saw the AquaTrue. I was gonna get it. I got there's another brand up there, but I don't remember the exact brand. Paul Saladino actually has the same one. It was on Amazon. You just search reverse osmosis filter. It was like the same. The AquaTrue one is good though. I like that one.
Yeah, no, we just got one. He said so many things fine-tuned. Yeah, so many things. So many things, right? No, we just got an AquaTrue for our house.
I like that
for like maybe 2 months now. We didn't do any of like some people add minerals back in, like they'll add like the alkaline minerals because they say like the water's going to be alkaline.
I think alkaline water is such garbage. It has the same has the same chemicals and preservatives as any other water. Same PFA, everything. So
that's what I was gonna say. Yeah.
No, alkaline water is not the move at all.
Nah. I thought it was like sketchy, and I'm like, I just want pure water, like zero. And I actually I used a probe. I tested the water to measure like the total dissolved solids. And the water I was drinking before it was just filtered water. We have a house filter, luckily, but it tested at it was like 156 like parts per million.
Yeah.
And then I also tested like Polar Spring, like bottled water, that came out at 50. But the water now, after the reverse osmosis, comes out at like 10.
Wow.
So huge difference.
So your Poland Spring was better than your water filter in your house.
Yeah.
Interesting. It really depends on the filter you have, but that's interesting stuff. But then you don't worry about the microplastics. I mean, you maybe because it's a tough situation if the house gets hot and you have a plastic water dispenser you worry about microplastics. But mine is in glass. I don't know about the Aqua True.
It's glass. Yeah,
Okay,
it's
that's
glass,
important. That's very important that it's glass. Because when you make that switch, you also realize that the bottles, when they heat up, a lot of it leaches in. So you want to get as little in your life as possible. You can't be perfect. No, I'm not even perfect, and I have like a crazy routine. But everybody will have moments where I'm at the gym and I'll grab a Poland Spring, and it's not the end of the world. Like you can't be a perfectionist, but you can do the best you can for sure.
Try to minimize it, right? And
develop healthy habits for sure.
Yeah, maybe down the road, you can get like a whole reverse osmosis filter for your house.
That's my plan. That's why I got the countertop one, because I'm not living here forever. So
yeah, imagine how sick that would be.
That's something I'm gonna do. I'm also gonna get red lights in my house for sure. I'm gonna invest in a sauna for sure as well.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna invest in something will come out by the time I have a house in 5 or 6 years, or maybe longer, that turns the Wi-Fi off at night for me.
Yeah,
that would be cool. I want that to happen. I also want to get some sort of cold plunge to hot thing. So maybe a sauna next to a cold plunge or something cool like that.
Yeah.
And then a saltwater pool with real water, not chlorine. So that would be my dream house.
Oh yeah, that'd be.
I would live next to a regenerative farm, home gym, all that cool stuff. That's
all that cool stuff. Yeah.
Invest in. I don't need to drink alcohol now. I can save for that. So that's the way I see it.
Yeah, raw milk is where it's at.
Facts.
Yeah. All of that by the beach.
Oh yeah.
All of that by the beach.
All of it by the beach or a park or somewhere in nature. Yeah, 100%. In like a safe area where you can go out and walk every day, and not have to worry about anything. Like that's where it's at. I agree. So there's places out there, but that's why we do what we do. Maybe we can eventually be there.
Yeah, man, I love it. I love all of it. And just back to the water. I love the taste of this RO water, like the reverse osmosis water.
Yeah,
very, very different. Tastes very crisp.
It is very different. It's super different. Especially, I really like it cold. Cold. It's very I don't know. It's nourishing almost. I don't know how to describe it, but the first time I ever had it was actually Core. Have you heard of Core water?
Is that like a bottled one? I think so. I think I've seen it. Yeah,
it's a giant blue cap.
Oh yeah.
Big ass bottle, and that's powered by reverse osmosis, so it's very clean. The only issue is the bottle's in plastic. So when I tried that for the first time, I was like, wow, I want this water in my house at all times. I don't even want to have this other stuff. So it's like when you try red meat and then you realize the vegetables aren't good. It's like the same shit. It's like, why the hell was I eating so many salads? What was I doing? Why did I eat so many salads? Imagine if I started eating red meat when I was 15. Imagine how big I would be.
Dude.
Oh my God. I mean, I did, but very small amounts. I wasn't afraid of meat, but if I did it every day, holy crap, what a different person I would have been.
No, I totally hear you. Would be just complete giga chads.
Literally. The way carnivore diet is the way to a giga chad. That's eventually what's
man. I can't wait to raise my kids and just beef and eggs.
Oh my God. Yeah. I've heard a lot of people come on my podcast. They talk about their kids because a lot of their kids are at least meat-based or carnivore too. And it's super important. And I hear a lot of these stories of their kids when the parents were vegetarian or vegan, and they fed the kids a lot of sugar and a lot of crap, and the kids are off the walls, and the kids are always riled up and out of control and wild. And you also look at kids that are fed meat, and you look at their correlation of how they feel, and they're calm, relaxed. Most of them are honor students. Along that line, they're smarter, they're just more developed, and they're more calm and natural being.
Mature,
it's and you can look at adults and see the same thing. You can look at adults and literally see the same thing. There are adults that have to wake up and have to have their hit of coffee with sugar every single morning, and they have to have their dessert before bed. When I say have to have, I mean, if you don't require it, it's an addiction, and you have to have it, it's an addiction. And people don't understand that. If somebody has to have their chocolate at night, you're addicted to chocolate. I'm sorry to break it to you. If you have to have your red meat, That would make sense because it's essential. It's essential to live a happy and healthy life, eating red meat or eggs. But if you have to have your little treat or your snack, it's not, it's not a necessity. It's an addiction.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. Are we addicted to red meat?
Well,
I don't know.
there's a point where with red meat, your brain and your body tells you to stop, and it doesn't taste good anymore. And I saw this on Dr. Chafee's video, and he was like, just eat meat until it stops tasting good. And there is a point where it just doesn't taste good anymore when you're full. And sugar is the exact opposite. You can eat until tomorrow, bro. Like, you can eat sugar until it is and not be satisfied and crave more and more and more. So that's what I'm saying is there's no way someone's addicted to protein and fat. Also, as much as we want a steak, after we eat and after we're full and satisfied, for the next few hours at least, we're not craving a steak. We're just not thinking about food. So for somebody that's addicted to sugar, they're thinking about food. They're thinking about what their next hit of sugar is gonna be.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. I've even felt like like even in the past, when after eating like a lot of steak, like one time I went to like a Brazilian steakhouse, and I just, when I go to those places, like I rob them. Like, I ate so much steak, but then they brought out like this grilled pineapple that they were just like serving it, like the same deal. And I had a slice of it. This was like towards after I like, binged on like steak. I was like super full.
You can still eat the pineapple.
Yeah, but then as soon as I had the pineapple, like I just felt like I wasn't as full anymore.
Yeah.
And I was like, I could probably have more steak now after this pineapple.
That's what happened with the fruit as well. Is when I would have fruit, it absolutely drive me. It's not the fruit that necessarily caused the weight gain, although you can argue that too. But the fruit it drove me to eat more meat and eggs than I should have naturally.
Yeah.
And the seasonings and the spices can drive you for more highly palatable foods. How about this one? I recently heard this take when it comes to fat loss, and this is definitely an approach that I'm going to take as I'm doing as I'm getting really lean here. So my thing is, I can eat 12, 13, 14, 15 scrambled eggs in a sitting, no problem. But when I get to 10 hard-boiled eggs, I'm stuffed. I'm done. I'm full. And I think it has to do with eating the food in its natural whole form. The same way that ground beef, and you compare ground beef to steak, is if I can have 2-3 pounds of ground beef at a time. I can eat a lot of ground beef. It's already pre-cut for me. So I have no problem digesting it fast. When I take the time and cut up a fatty ribeye, I'm full after a steak. Their energy, their calories might be different, but the way the food is and the form the food is, if it's well done, you'll tend to eat more. If cheese isn't raw and it's pasteurized, you will tend to overeat because of the nutrients. So the nutrients and the way that the food is cooked really does matter when it comes to getting really lean. I don't think that anyone's getting fat off scrambled eggs. That's not what I'm trying to say is, but really trying to get really lean on carnivore, pick the whole egg, the hard-boiled egg over the scrambled egg. It'll fill you up a lot faster. Just because you have to take the time to chew it, you have to take the time to break it down in its natural form. If it's already pre-cut for you, you're gonna eat it pretty quick.
Yeah. I find like if I'm trying to down like more than 6 hard-boiled eggs, like it just
your body will tell you, I'm good. I don't want any more food. That's normal. That's protein and fat signaling, of course. So
but it's also like well, depending on like how hard boiled it ends up. If the yolks are soft,
right,
then it's like more palatable. But if it's like fully cooked, hard boiled, it's like my mouth gets dry. I can't really like down that many.
Yeah. And then the other thing is steak. If I eat a rare steak, a big rare ribeye, I'm full. If I have a big
a rare ribeye hits different.
If I have a well done ribeye, it's not that full. Especially if it's cut up for me, especially if it's ground up for me, I'm just not full from that amount of beef. So it does matter. It does make a difference when you're going for a physique with this way of eating as well. But again, I can go back to the point I made before, which is like 99% of people, you just go carnivore without a lot of dairy. use dairy as a garnish, I like to say,
Yeah.
for a few years, you will have the physique that you want. You'll be more than satisfied with your physique, you know?
Yeah. The problem is, when they try like do too many things at once, or just like add in too much. How do you feel about raw eggs?
Love it. I think that raw egg whites can lead to biotin deficiency if you have way too many of them. So I always do more yolks than whites. Recently, I've just been doing the raw yolk, but I do it every single day. If in the morning I wake up and I'm not really craving eggs, I will always have 1 or 2 raw anyway and just drink it. Otherwise, I'll cook them. It really depends on the day. I always make sure to get them in every single day. They make fat loss so easy. They keep you full so easily. So there are definitely periods of time where I really crave eggs, and there are periods where I don't want them as much, and I'd rather have something like beef or fish. But I always get them in every day, and I raw is a good way. I'm a fan.
Yeah, I love slunking raw eggs. Lately, I over Christmas we got an immersion blender. I don't know if you've seen like those sticks you just like stick into things, and it just blends it up like crazy. And now my breakfast has been I just get like 6 eggs, and I use the immersion blender.
Yeah.
And it just like it does a great job of just like making it like I just frothing it up incredibly. And then when I had milk back we don't have milk anymore, but when I had the milk, I would also add some milk to it. Oh my God, that was like straight up dessert. Like,
Yeah, no, literally. What's it called?
It's so creamy.
I'm doing an egg challenge soon. I'm not sure when it's going to be, probably the next few weeks. And I had all my followers recently guess how many eggs they think I can eat in a day. And this in one day, because I usually do 10 to 15, but that's like my first meal, and I have 2 meals. So, and I usually do a few of them raw as well. So people debated on whether drinking the egg yolks is acceptable. But seriously, it can make a big difference. Like I can't get down 50 hard-boiled eggs in a day. I can't do it. Drinking, no. I think I can. I'm shooting for 50. That's my goal. I'm going to shoot for 50 eggs. I'm going to have to come off a 24-hour fast. It's going to be a big thing, but I think it's funny. I love doctors like Dr. James D. Nick, and he says to people, just eat as many eggs as you'd like. You're not going to get heart disease. You're not going to get anything from it. I tell people the same thing. Every morning, if your goal is fat loss, start by, if you're not hungry, wait till lunch. If you are hungry, eat as many eggs as you'd like until you're full.
Yeah, you can always eat more eggs. Like,
it's a great rule. It's a great rule to follow. And obviously, the egg yolks are so much better than the egg whites, which is a big bodybuilding thing too.
Yeah.
And a big, doctor thing too, is people just think that any sort of cholesterol is going to be harmful for you, as the white's actually more dangerous than the yolks. So
yeah, that's facts. Yeah, it's funny. Over Christmas, we did a challenge with my brother to see how many eggs we could eat. But in one sitting, he downed 30 eggs, just like sunny side up.
Shit.
I only made it to like 23. I couldn't. Is
it all sunny side up?
Yeah, just like all straight up sunny side up, soft yolks.
Well, if you were drinking it, maybe you could do more. Maybe.
Yeah. If you drank them, for sure, I could have probably done more. And I'm telling you, if you like blend the eggs, they just go down so much easier. And in my opinion, they taste like a lot better. It's like a whole other thing. It's like another drink, versus like having like the white and the yolk like being in its like whole form. I think there's something about blending it that does something to it. It just makes it traps. It makes it bubbly, and it's easy.
I've done it both ways. I usually blend it if I'm having it raw. I tried it without it the first time, and I didn't like it. Like the clunk of the egg yolk is not. It's not fun when you got 12 of them in that cup. And blend them when I do it raw as well. Yeah.
It's just, the texture of the white, like slimy, and then the yolk.
Yeah.
Explosion.
Agreed.
Yeah.
What's it called? I have to run, but do you have any more questions?
That's cool. Yeah. I forgot I have a roast in the oven, but luckily I put it at a low temperature.
Okay, good.
So I'll go have dinner. Just last question for you. What's next for Carnivore B Mills? I know you're working on the podcast, the Primal Side. It seems like you're looking forward to going on a cut, which is awesome. Looking forward to how that goes. What's next for you, man?
I never like to use the term bulking and cutting. they've been so
Yeah,
for you.
cut.
Yeah, I'm looking to lean out for a little bit for Instagram, and yeah, I'm really working on my podcast. You can find it on YouTube, my page called the Primal Side. I also started this thing called Carnivore 101, which is just me making walkthrough videos on every topic that I know about related to carnivore or keto health and lifestyle. So I started that playlist, you can call it. And then posting Instagram content every single day, whether that be in a grocery store or some sort of educational video to, wake people up and to let them know about real food and to teach people, because people don't know and people need to learn. So that's why I do what I do, and to inspire. So a lot of content on my Instagram, Carnivore B Mills, a lot of content on my YouTube, the Primal Side, and you can find everything there.
Awesome. Yeah, sounds good, man. Really looking forward to what's coming next. And I think that's a good place to end. I'll let you get back to it, dude.
I appreciate it, bro. It was great talking.
Yeah, man. I had a great time.
I'm down to do another one in the future as well. Maybe we could do an Instagram live. I don't know if you do that.
For sure. Yeah, I've done a couple. But yeah, we can do that. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So you let me know. We'll set something up for a few weeks or next month and figure out another time to go live. And maybe I can get both you guys there and we can ask each other questions.
Yeah. It looks like my brother's watching. He says, "Great podcast. Thanks for doing it."
I'll see you in the next one, bro.
Yeah. All right, bro.
Take care, man. Have a good night.
Good night.
We'll talk soon.
Yeah. Be in touch.
Later.
That was it. Have a good night, everyone. God bless.